There is a sacred rhythm in silence, a power so grand that the world in all its noise often misses it. There comes a time in every life when words no longer soothe the ache, when explanations grow tired and prayers feel like whispers cast into a wind too strong to catch them. In those moments we cry out, asking why, pleading for answers, yearning for signs. But heaven, in its infinite wisdom, speaks not in thunder or lightning, but in the gentle hush of "Be still." God said, "Be silent," not because your voice isn't worthy, not because your pain isn't real, not because your fight isn't seen or your tears don't matter. No. He says, "Be silent," because the divine has heard every cry you've never dared to speak aloud. Because sometimes in your silence the heavens prepare blessings so grand they demand the stillness of the soul. Because the answers you seek do not live in noise. They grow in the quiet soil of patience. There is no weakness in stillness. The oak tree does not grow by rushing the seasons. The moon does not beg the sun for its turn. And so you must understand, your journey is not delayed. It is being delicately prepared, like a table set in the presence of those who doubted you, every fork and cup placed with holy care. Your name is etched into the plans of destiny, and your silence is not surrender. It is reverence. Oh, how the world tries to make you believe that silence is emptiness, that if you are not shouting, striving, grasping, pushing, you are not living. But God's ways are not our ways. What the world calls still, He calls sacred. What the world calls delay, He calls divine timing. For even in the womb of silence, miracles are born. Do you not remember the caterpillar, wrapped in darkness, alone in its cocoon? It makes no noise. There is no sound of struggle, no flutter of progress. Yet in the quiet, in the waiting, in the stillness, it is becoming. Transformation is silent. The most powerful shifts of your life often come not with trumpet blasts, but with the hushed breath of grace working behind the veil. God said, "Be silent." For in your silence you learn to listen. And when you truly listen, you hear more than sound. You hear guidance in the way the wind moves. You hear comfort in the hush of night. You hear strength in your own heartbeat. And you realize that the silence wasn't empty. It was full of everything you needed to become. You've begged for open doors. You've prayed for light. You've asked for strength. But sometimes the answer is not yes or no or even wait. Sometimes the answer is come close. And silence is God's way of calling you near, of brushing back your hair like a parent does a child, saying you don't have to understand to be held. Just rest. I'm here. The world will mock your silence. They will say, do something, be someone, make noise, but don't let the urgency of others pull you from the peace of your path. Let them race. Let them shout. Let them crave validation. You chosen soul, you rest in the assurance that what is yours is being crafted in divine hand. That what is meant for you will come not when you clamor for it, but when you are aligned with it. This silence is not punishment. It is protection. The kind that hides you from storms too wild for your wings. The kind that heals wounds too deep for words. The kind that prepares you for things greater than your mind has yet imagined. You are not forgotten in the quiet. You are being fortified. Have you not seen how storms come after stillness? How breakthroughs come after the breakdown? You may think you are in the valley, but even valleys hold seeds, and in the silence you are being planted, not buried, planted. And what is planted with time, light, and patience will rise. Let them wonder where you went. Let them question your quiet. They did not hear the call you heard. They do not see the vision you see. You are not here to convince anyone of your worth. You are here to honor the divine rhythm of your becoming. And if silence is your symphony, then play it with boldness. Let the hush be your power. God said, be silent. Because your next chapter is too holy to be written in haste. Because your spirit needs rest. Because your dreams need room to stretch. Because sometimes before the miracle there is the pause. The holy pause, where everything feels still, but the universe is dancing on your behalf. Have you ever watched the sunrise? It does not scream its arrival. It does not demand applause. It simply shows up and transforms the whole sky. That's you. That's what your silence is doing. Preparing you to rise in such a way that your glow cannot be ignored, that your presence shifts the atmosphere. Not because you made noise, but because you honored the quiet work of God. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to wait. It's hard to sit still when everything in you aches to move, to act, to fix. But remember, not all movement is forward. Not all noise is meaningful. You are not falling behind, you are being pulled deeper into self, into faith, into alignment. God said, be silent, because your blessing has ears. And sometimes it can only find you when the noise is gone, when the distractions are muted, when the pretending is stripped away, when you sit with yourself and finally hear what your soul's been trying to say. You are enough, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. There is a fire being stoked in your belly, a purpose being formed in your silence, a strength being born in your surrender. You will emerge not just healed, but transformed. You will rise not just whole, but holy. And when you do, you won't need to announce it. Your life will speak for itself. So hush now, trust now, rest now. Let the world do what it will. Let others chase what they must. But you, child of purpose, you stay still. You stay grounded. You stay faithful. For God does not forget those who wait in silence. He exalts them. He lifts them. He crowns them with favor, not bought but born, not earned but anointed. And one day soon, you will see the silence was not empty. It was full of God, and everything you ever needed was being gathered for you, not when you shouted, not when you fought, but when you were quiet enough to receive it. Be silent. You will get everything in your life, not because you begged, but because you believed. There is something holy about waiting, something sacred in standing still when everything around you spins. People think strength is in movement, in action, in volume, in outward fire. But there is a quiet strength that doesn't beg for attention. It sits with storms and looks them in the eye. It doesn't shake at the sound of chaos. It breathes slowly, deeply, knowing that even in stillness progress is being made. The world measures growth by motion, but God measures it by depth. You are growing, even now, growing in trust, in wisdom, in peace. The kind of growth no one sees until one day everything you prayed for blooms in your hands. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them say you disappeared. They don't know what's happening inside you. They don't feel the roots digging deep beneath the surface. You are not idle. You are not wasting time. You are being readied, because the kind of greatness you carry cannot be rushed. It demands silence. It demands shedding the noise, the lies, the fear, the need for approval. It demands that you listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit. The whisper of God does not come with a megaphone. It comes with a presence that wraps around you when all the lights go out and says, you are mine, you are becoming. People think miracles come with bright lights and clashing cymbals, but the real miracles, they come soft, they come quiet, they come in the night, when you've stopped trying to force it. When you finally surrender and say, I don't know how, but I trust you. That's when heaven moves. Not when you push and pull and fight, but when you release. Because there is power in letting go. Not the giving up kind of letting go, but the sacred surrender that says, I have done my part, now I will wait in faith. You don't plant a seed and dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the soil. You trust the seasons. Trust God. There is no need to rush the masterpiece. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you're meant to be. The silence isn't God ignoring you. It's God placing you in the hands of time, shaping you in ways you don't yet understand. Sometimes the silence is the wrapping paper around the gift. And when it's time, it will be unwrapped. And you will see, every tear was watering your future. Every pause was protecting your purpose. Every delay was delivering you from something that looked good but wasn't yours. You may not feel it now, but you are covered, carried, capped. There's something happening behind the veil, something that can't be seen but is more real than anything you've touched. You are not where you used to be, even if it feels like nothing's changed. You are stronger now, wiser now, calmer. You've survived things that tried to break you, and in the breaking, you found the unshakable parts of yourself. God is building something in you that can withstand storms. And that kind of strength, it's not built in applause, it's built in silence. It's built when no one is watching. It's built when you choose to trust instead of complain. When you choose to breathe instead of panic. When you choose to sit with God instead of seeking validation from people. You don't have to shout to be heard by heaven. Your quiet faith is enough. Your whispered hope is enough. Your trembling belief, even when you're unsure, is enough. Heaven responds to the soul that stays when it would be easier to run, to the heart that keeps beating with faith, even when doubt tries to steal its rhythm. You are seen, you are held, and you are being led even in the dark. You don't have to understand everything right now. You don't need all the answers. That's not what faith is. Faith is walking with hands open, palms up, saying, I trust what I cannot see. Faith is staying rooted even when the wind howls. It's crying and believing at the same time. It's breaking but not giving up. You may have questions, and that's okay. God is not afraid of your doubt. He's not offended by your weariness, but He's inviting you into something deeper, into the kind of trust that doesn't rely on sight, into the kind of peace that passes all understanding. Be still, not because you're weak, but because the strongest thing you can do sometimes is wait with hope. The world will tell you to hustle harder, move faster, do more, but the Spirit whispers something different. Rest, let me work, let me heal, let me bring it together in ways you never could. The doors you've been banging on, if they were yours, they would have opened. The people who walked away, they weren't meant to go where you're headed. The opportunities you lost, they weren't aligned with your destiny. Don't mourn what wasn't yours. Rejoice in what's being prepared. God doesn't withhold to hurt. He withholds to protect. And sometimes He withholds to prepare you for a yes so big you wouldn't believe it if He told you now. You are walking into something greater. And this silence, this ache, this waiting, it's proof that the ground beneath you is shifting, that the doors in front of you are unlocking, that the miracle is already on its way. Don't confuse the quiet for absence. God is closer now than He's ever been. He is in the breath that steadies you, in the sunrise that meets you, in the strength that rises in you, even when you don't feel like trying. He's in the details, in the timing, in the unfolding. He's not late, He's intentional. And so are you. You are not random, you are not wandering. You are woven into a tapestry far beyond your vision. Every detour had a lesson. Every delay had a purpose. Every season of silence has been shaping your soul into someone who doesn't just receive the blessing, but sustains it. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. God doesn't just want to give you the promise. He wants you ready for it. He wants you whole, healed, anchored. So let the silence do its holy work. Let it strip away what was never you. Let it cleanse the wounds you tried to hide. Let it quiet the lies you've believed for too long. Let it soften you, open you, renew you. Because when the time comes, and it will come, you will rise not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. And when that moment comes, the world will wonder where you've been. But you will know you've been in the hands of God, and that's the safest place to be. Your life is not over. It's just beginning. This is not the end. It's the incubation. The promise is alive even if you can't feel it kicking. The dream is still breathing even if you can't hear it whisper. You are still chosen even when you feel forgotten. Heaven has not revoked your calling. Heaven has not changed its mind about you. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too small. You are exactly what the world needs when the time is right. So let the silence sing its song over you. Let it carry you into peace, into clarity, into presence. You don't have to wait for the noise to stop. You don't have to wait for the world to understand. Just be here. Be still. Be present. And listen not with your ears, but with your soul. Because when God said be silent, He wasn't closing the door. He was opening something inside you. Something that can only awaken in the quiet. Something eternal. Something unshakable. And when you finally step into everything you've prayed for, you'll look back on this silence, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because it was here in the hush of waiting that you found the voice that was never lost. The voice of your spirit. The voice of your purpose. The voice of God. And that voice will carry you the rest of the way. You will get everything in your life, but not through noise. Not through force. Through trust. Through stillness. Through faith that refuses to be shaken, even in the silence. There is a kind of power that comes from walking through life quietly, from enduring the fire without screaming, from holding your head high, not because life has been easy, but because your spirit has learned how to rise in the dark. Some people never understand what it takes to keep going when everything inside you wants to stop. They don't see the battles fought behind closed doors. They don't know how many nights your tears kept the pillow company, or how many mornings you rose while carrying invisible weights. But God does. He sees all of it. Every sigh, every step, Every moment when you stayed, even when leaving felt easier. You were not created to live in fear, nor to walk this life in a hurry. What's for you is not hiding. It's waiting for you to become the version of yourself who's ready to hold it, nurture it, grow with it. Because a blessing given too soon can feel like a burden. So God whispers again, be silent. Let me finish what I've started in you. It's not easy, no, but nothing eternal, ever. The most sacred things are forged slowly. The strongest steel is tempered in fire, and the truest strength is found not in what you do in the spotlight, but in how you carry yourself in the shadows. So breathe, breathe through the silence, breathe through the loneliness, breathe through the waiting. For even now there is movement. Even now, while everything seems still, something holy is happening. The heavens are shifting, the ground is breaking open. The life you've been preparing for is preparing for you too. This isn't wasted time, this is sacred alignment. A divine synchronization that can't be rushed, can't be skipped, can't be forced. You are being positioned for a promise that will last, not just excite, not just impress, but fulfill. In this silence you are learning something most people never understand, that peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. You're learning to sit with yourself, to look in the mirror and see not just the wounds but the warrior, not just the fear but the fire, not just the losses but the lessons. You're learning that you are not your past and you are not your pain. You are not what happened to you. You are not who they said you were. You are who God says you are, and who He says you are is strong. Enough. Becoming. There will be days when the silence feels suffocating, when the prayers feel unanswered, when your faith feels like a whisper in a world that demands a scream. On those days, remember this: faith does not always roar. Sometimes faith is the quiet decision to wake up and believe again, to try again, to hope again. And every time you do, heaven rejoices. Every time you choose belief over bitterness, you grow. Every time you choose trust over fear, you rise. You may not feel the change, but it is happening. You are being reshaped from the inside out. Some of the greatest transformations are invisible at first, like the roots of a tree that grow deep before the branches bear show, like the foundation of a building that is laid long before the walls rise, like the soul work that happens before the dream ever unfolds. Don't resent this season. Don't curse the quiet. This silence is not your enemy. It is your sacred cocoon, the womb of your next life, the whisper before the roar. There are people watching you now, people who don't understand the silence you've embraced. They wonder where you've gone, why you've withdrawn, why you're no longer fighting to be seen or heard or validated. They don't know that you're not hiding, you're healing. They don't know that you're not quitting, you're evolving. You are no longer seeking external permission to grow. You are no longer performing, you are becoming. And becoming is not always loud. You will come out of this. You will not stay here forever, but when you do emerge, you will be unrecognizable, not to God but to the world that only knew your former version. They will marvel at your peace, at your clarity, at your calm. But what they won't see is the silence that built it. The nights you spent wrestling with your own doubt. The tears that carved rivers through your soul so that joy could find a way in. The silence taught you what no voice ever could. How to find your own. There is no timeline for healing, no deadline for destiny, no expiration date on grace. Let that sink in. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are perfectly placed in the hands of the one who knows the end from the beginning. And if He has called you to be silent, it's because He's doing something you can't see. Something that can only be done when the world is muted, when the distractions are stripped, when the soul is still. Do not be ashamed of this quiet season. Wear it like armor. Let it strengthen you. Let it teach you. Let it reveal to you what matters and what doesn't. Let it burn away the excess so only the essential remains. The world is loud. The world is quick. The world is constantly chasing. But you have chosen the deeper path, the slower path, the sacred path. And though it may seem lonely, you are never alone. Heaven walks with you here. This silence is not empty. It's pregnant. Pregnant with promise. Pregnant with transformation. Pregnant with possibility. And like all pregnancies, there is discomfort. There is stretching. There is waiting. But in the end, there is birth. And what you will birth on the other side of this silence will not be small. It will be beautiful. It will be powerful. It will be proof that silence was never stillness. It was preparation. Keep going. Keep trusting. Keep listening. Let your silence be your sanctuary. Let it be your strength, because when the world sees you again, they will see the work God has done. Not through force, not through striving, but through surrender, through softness, through silence. And when you finally speak again, your words will carry weight, your voice will carry vision, your presence will shift atmospheres. Not because you tried to be loud, but because you allowed yourself to be silent long enough to be filled. So don't rush this. Don't resent this. Let this silence be your teacher. Let it cradle you. Let it shape you. Let it elevate you into everything you were born to be. You will get everything in your life, not when you grasp, but when you release. Not when you demand, but when you trust. Not when you chase, but when you align. God said, be silent, and that is enough. Because his silence is not rejection, it is revelation in disguise. His stillness is not abandonment, it is intimacy. His pause is not punishment, it is protection. And his timing is not delayed, it is divine. One day you will look back and thank this silence. You will thank the wait. You will thank the unanswered prayers. You will thank the closed doors, because they led you here, to this moment, to this becoming, to this truth. You were never lost, you were being lived. And everything you thought you had to fight for, beg for, scream for, was already yours. All you had to do was be still. The world has a way of measuring us by how much we do, how loudly we speak, how fast we climb, and how visible we are while doing it. But heaven doesn't work like that. Heaven doesn't clap for noise, it listens for heartbeats. It moves for surrender. It shifts mountains not for those who shout the loudest, but for those who kneel the deepest. And when God said be silent, it wasn't a command to disappear. It was a call to come closer, closer to yourself, closer to the truth, closer to the quiet where everything real begins. You see, noise is everywhere, always pressing, always demanding, always pulling you to prove something. But silence holds you. It doesn't require you to explain yourself. It lets your soul speak in ways words never could. That's why God brings us into these sacred seasons, not to punish us, but to purify us, to let everything fall away until only what is true remains. And what's true is that you are already enough. Not because of your achievement, not because of your image, not because of your followers or your success or your productivity, but because you were created on purpose, with purpose, for purpose. There is healing in the hush. There is wholeness in the stillness. So many people spend their whole lives running from pain, from loneliness, from failure, from themselves. But God, he draws you inward, into the places you've tried to avoid, into the feelings you've buried, into the dreams you've doubted, because he knows that in the quiet your true voice returns. Not the voice shaped by trauma, not the voice bent by fear, not the voice silenced by shame, but the voice he placed inside you before the world told you who you should be. And when you sit long enough in the silence, you begin to hear it again. At first it's faint like an echo, but slowly it grows stronger. It begins to rise. It begins to return. It says you are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be. And if you listen long enough, you begin to believe it. You begin to breathe a little deeper. You begin to see yourself not through the lens of what you've lost, but through the light of what you're becoming. The beauty of silence is that it gives you back to yourself. In the rush of life, you forget. You forget who you are. You forget what matters. You forget what you were created to carry. But in the silence, all the false things fall away. The roles you've played, the masks you've worn, the expectations you've carried like heavy stones on your back, they drop. And what remains is holy. What remains is whole. What remains is truth. And the truth is, you are not here by accident. You have survived things that others never knew about. You have endured storms that tried to bury you. But look at you now, still breathing, still standing, still becoming. There is something indestructible in you, not loud, not flashy, but eternal. There is a resilience in your soul that cannot be explained, only witnessed. It's the kind of resilience that is born in the silence, when everything else falls away and God says, now let me show you who you really are. You are not the labels. You are not the failure. You are not the missed opportunity or the broken relationship. You are not the mistake. You are the miracle that rose from it. You are the grace that kept going. You are the mercy that chose to stay soft, even after the world hardened you. You are the promise that will not return void. You are the answer to someone's prayer. And one day soon you'll see what it was all for. Every delay, every detour, every silent season that felt like a sentence. It was setting you up for something greater than you could ask or imagine. And you won't even be angry anymore. You'll be grateful. Grateful for the silence that protected you from settling. Grateful for the loneliness that taught you to love yourself. Grateful for the closed doors that made you brave enough to build your own. Grateful for the heartbreak that broke you open wide enough for light to get in. Grateful for the wilderness that taught you how to walk by faith and not by sight. The world tells you to be loud so you can be seen, but heaven tells you to be silent so you can be known. Seen is surface, known is sacred. When God knows you, He places something inside you that no one can take. Not rejection, not criticism, not failure. You begin to walk differently, not with arrogance but with assurance, not with noise but with knowing. You know who you are, and you know whose you are. That is the gift of silence. It clarifies, it purifies, it sanctifies. It doesn't just give you back your peace, it gives you back your power. The kind of power that doesn't need to convince. The kind of power that doesn't compete. The kind of power that doesn't chase. It simply is. Grounded, rooted, unshaken. So if you're still in that silent season, don't be discouraged. Don't assume that because you can't hear God, He's not speaking. Sometimes He speaks by doing. Sometimes He speaks by removing. Sometimes He speaks by waiting. And all of it, every moment, is for your good. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not being ignored. You are being initiated into something deeper, something eternal, something that no storm can shake. One day you'll look around and realize you've been delivered, not just from circumstances but from your old self, the self that needed approval, the self that lived for performance, the self that feared silence because it didn't know peace. That version of you will be a memory, a ghost that no longer haunts. And in its place will be a soul anchored in trust, a heart filled with stillness, spirit that glows with glory, not because of what it has, but because of who it has become. And when people ask, "How did you do it?" you will smile, not a proud smile, but a knowing one, a soft one, a holy one. And you will say, "I didn't. I let God do it. I let Him quiet me. I let Him hold me. I let Him shape me in silence." Because that's the truth. This isn't something you achieve, it's something you allow. You surrender, you yield, you lay down your weapons and say, "Have your way, Lord." And He does, He always does. But only in the silence. So stay here if that's where you are. Don't fight to be seen. Don't fight to be heard. Let the silence make you whole. Let it unravel you so it can rebuild you. Let it empty you so it can fill you. Let it stretch you so it can crown you. You are not forgotten. You are not failing. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. And everything, yes, everything you've been praying for, waiting for, weeping for, is on its way. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. You became the version of yourself that was ready to receive it. God said, "Be silent." And because you obeyed, everything you asked for will find you. In peace, in fullness, in perfect time. Because what is born in silence lives forever.